Well, good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of WTF Walk the Floors. I'm Stephanie Ledger with First Rate Hospitality, and I'm joined with my co-host, Michelle Klein of Klein Hospitality. Hi, Michelle. How are you? And what do we got going on with all of our wonderful people here today?
I am doing fantastic, Stephanie. And like I always say, I am so excited because I really am so excited to be here, especially today, because this is going to be fun. It's a party and I'm the DJ behind the booth making it all happen. So you are in for an absolute treat as we've gathered exceptional experts who are thought leaders and visionaries from the hospitality industry. These individuals that you can see on the screen if you're on YouTube, or you will hear shortly, listen to, these individuals represent a wealth of knowledge and experience in shaping the landscape of luxury service. So you guessed it, we are going to be talking about luxury service. What happened last year? What are some of those things that we want to let go of? And then what is it that we have in store for 2024? It's going to be a 3-part episode. We'll talk about overall trends and technology and collaborations between brands and health and wellness and all these beautiful things. And it's so jam-packed that we're going to split it into 3 episodes. So stay tuned, and I'll tell you who's in the house today. We have Jason from J.O.R. Hospitality Solutions. We have George from ComOps, and we have Erika from Erika Solano Luxury Hospitality, and of course, our beautiful Stephanie Ledger from First Rate Hospitality. So I want to go around the room brief. You have like 30 seconds. Tell us who you are, what you've done so far, and what do you do for our industry today. Jason, we'll go with you first.
Great. Thanks for having us. Again, Jason Raimondi with J.O.R. Hospitality Solutions. I've been in business on my own now for going on 5 years. And very quickly, I offer 3 pillars of service all around service culture, which is executive training, leadership development, and organizational management, really helping companies go from ordinary to extraordinary service in the luxury realm.
I love that. You're totally my person, by the way. That was a heart for those of you who can't see it. All right, Erika, what about you?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Michelle and Stephanie, for having us over. This is going to be definitely a fun podcast. I am the founder of Erika Solano Luxury Hospitality. Long story short, after the pandemic, you know how life changed for a lot of us, and I was just very fortunate to have the demand for services, and I concentrate on service excellence, positive leadership, sustainability, as well as building community. So I like to think that I help properties, restaurants, spas, cruise ships to become better and to help the associates actually be better at what they do.
Lovely. So my cup of tea. And George, we've had George in our podcast before. We've collaborated in a few projects too. But George, tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Yes, and Michelle, Stephanie, great to be back. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. I oversee the customer experience practice at ComOps, and we really tackle a lot of the same issues, let's say, or goals that Erika and Jason mentioned by using technology and taking the standards that maybe Jason and Erika and Stephanie and Michelle that you both as well develop and train on, and really turning those into actionable signals from your guests and actually measuring those and make sure that you are delivering on the experience that you want for your guests at the end of the day. So again, great to be back and excited to dig into some of these topics.
It's wonderful to have you back. So let's start our discussion with Jason, and we're going to be focusing on market trends. So Jason, could you share with us what luxury trends in hospitality do you wish, keyword, you see end in 2023?
I'm not gonna lie, this was a tough one because there may be some what feels like counterintuitive to what we're trying to accomplish in the near future with one of my wishes. And then I kind of have a little moment of what we want to see end maybe from the guest set of eyes and then from the staff's sets of eyes. So I'll start with the staff one because I think that one spills over into our guests. And I think one of the trends that needs to go away is the turnover and the lack of staff support. And that just seems to have been something out of the ordinary that I think was part of the fallout of the change in the industry post pandemic. And there's no finger pointing or I think it's just new faces, new talent, new ideas, people that were in the industry during the pandemic, changed industries. But that big fluctuation has been a trend in the, at least in the States, where we see a lot of turnover and it deeply affects work and coming to work and our hotels and our guest experience. And I think some more stabilization really has to happen to help stop the turnover, which will then spill upon so many other aspects. So I think that's kind of a unique one, but the one I hope I don't, George, this doesn't hit you in the wrong way, but digitize guest experiences, I think, is a trend that is going in a weird direction. And so let me clarify on that piece. I think if I walk into a smart room and the AI interacts with me and remembers the settings I had, the thermostat on yesterday, encourages me to do that again, or maybe says, asks me if I like to have in-room dining that night. Those are some pretty phenomenal digitizations that are happening. A lot of people see those on the movies and wonder if they're real. They are. So that piece. But then in the luxury sector, what I don't think guests want is to be checked in by a no one experience and I have to do it on my own at the front desk and use an iPad or a tablet of sorts. I don't want to maybe leave my luggage at the front and hope that the camera sees it and sends a ticket to have it sent to my room. Like those are the things that are a little wonky. And that's why I said the turnover piece, because I think some digitization is happening due to some of the staffing, but we have to do it in a smart way. So for me, I think technology has to happen in the right level, but the way that it's been happening, kind of reactive versus proactive, that trend hopefully goes away this coming year.
You know what, Jason, you hit a nerve there, and I'll tell you why. Like you, I believe that one of the 2024 trends that is coming is that we're going to be talking about two topics in a more serious way that we've ever had before, which tees me off to my next question, but I'm going to pause there for a minute. One of those topics being cybersecurity, and then the other topic being team member engagement. How do we stop the madness when it comes to turnover is by engaging with our team, right? And that's a whole new episode or a whole series of episodes that we could take a deep dive and talk about that. But here's the thing, when it comes to technology and how technology is taking the lead in solving a lot of the problems that we have, and a lot of them that are paired to the lack of staff to get the job done, I always look back and think about how when there is someone that sells the technology, that proposes the solution, that truly comprehends the industry, the execution of that solution will be flawless. Maybe a hiccup here and there, but they'll know how to fix it. But more likely than not, the ones that are trying to inject a solution or peers into the hospitality market, and they don't really have a good comprehension of what hospitality is all about, what we do on a daily basis, how our day changes every 5 seconds. Those are typically the solutions that I see going south. And I see them going south because the execution of it is poor. Because we haven't thought about how implementing this solution will impact the guest, how implementing this solution will impact our team member, what kind of team members we have under a roof, right? There is no one solution fits all model for every single market, because we deal with different guests, we deal with different employees. So it's that one area where it's, where you hit that nerve as to technology is awesome. But I praise that every hotelier out there will look for the solution provider that comprehends your industry, because that's how you truly take that solution to the finish line in a flawless way. So kicking off to the next question is, what trends do you anticipate for 2024?
You kind of almost alluded to it a little bit, and I would say that one of the big ones is bespoke, customized, curated, hyper-personalized experiences. I think is really becoming one of the big trends for the new year. And I think the reason for that is stemming because of much longer stays at luxury properties. Guests are not just coming for little staycations anymore. Now we're looking at 8 and 10 and maybe even 2-week experiences. And they really want to feel like every little moment was as personalized as possible, really, really hyper-focused. And not that typical question of, do you have allergies or are you doing any special dining tonight? I'm talking like they really understood that 3 nights ago, I had a particular wine accompanying my meal. And now tonight, when I sit at a different restaurant, they remembered that and they anticipated it and really curated something I could have never imagined. So not to poke the bear again, but that comes down to team, not having turnover. You'll need a lot of team to create these experiences. But I would say, so longer stays is a big trend, curated and bespoke, and then hyper-personalized, I think, are some of the big trends for 2024.
Fantastic. Thank you for that insight. Who has a different opinion, or maybe something you can add?
I think, Michelle, I want to go back to Jason's first point, which, Jason, I wholeheartedly agree with you that technology has a place, but I don't want to download another mobile app to check into a hotel. Or I recently flew an airline that I'd never flown before, and I probably won't fly in a very long time. And I had to download a mobile app just to get on the plane. And it's such a pain. And I think that technology is an interesting thing in the luxury space because it should be there to make things more convenient, but it also shouldn't replace the human interaction. And so I think, Jason, like the initial question I think that Michelle posed was what trends do we want to see disappear next year? And I think that getting back to some of those human moments, like when you pick up a phone in a luxury hotel, that someone immediately answers and they're friendly and human and can help you rather than a multi-select option on a phone that takes forever. So I think it's finding that balance. And I think for as long as there are hotels and technology, that will be a tough thing to balance that. Different, of course, in I think more high volume, less luxurious properties. Okay, maybe technology can make things that much more efficient. Great, but I think in the luxury space, it's a different conversation completely. So that's what came to mind, Jason. I want to share. We were on the same page there, 100%.
Just making
Erika,
sure.
what are your thoughts?
Yes, I also think, Michelle, I think that you framed it very well, saying making sure that the hoteliers choose the right technology for their property. But it's not, it's kind of like choosing the right technology and then also training, right? And all of us here, we know how important that is. So you choose the right technology, but then you have to make sure that you train your associates to make use of that technology in a way that it's actually beneficial to them rather than a roadblock for them to provide a great experience. And I agree with you, Jason, in the human aspect, in the human touch. Not everything can be digital because we're also talking about the different generations, that some of them may enjoy that more than others. And I don't know, the generation in this panel, but I do enjoy the human touch, not overly done. And I also do enjoy the technology. So I think that even finding that balance that will be something that all of the generations would be looking forward to. to receive that service in the hotel.
Absolutely. Stephanie, do you have a thought?
Yep, just to roundabout, I agree with what everyone is saying here. And I put on my notes, enliven the five senses, as I think we're going to see more of the forefront as we, come with our training background. It always was, okay, we see a breakdown and we would have the 5 whys. Why did this happen? Why did this? And then really getting down to the root cause. I think now what we're going to seeing is if we're going to have a certain standard or a certain amenity, that now we're going to look at, okay, now how does this enliven one of the senses? So really, I know we're going to start talking about personalized service in another episode, but I think this is what we're going to start seeing a lot when it comes to what a brand in luxury hospitality is going to offer for their guests.
Absolutely agree with that. So as we move into, or I want to shift the focus back into technology a little bit. George, I want to know from you, how is technology shaping the delivery of luxury service in the hospitality industry?
Michelle, your question is very much in line with our conversation. And what comes to mind for me that's different from maybe 5 years ago is that a luxury hotel experience can be without a single human interaction. And I think that's an interesting thing, that now as consultants and trainers and those that are involved in the industry, sure, we going back to my initial point, there should always be that human touch. But Erika, to your point, some of the younger generation don't want that. They want perhaps a more technologically advanced experience. And so I think it's important that as luxury hotel operators, we consider, okay, how do we now make a humanless interaction luxurious, a humanless check-in to a hotel luxurious? And it's, I think, almost a different conversation, because then there isn't any one person or human to train, but it's our job to look at the experience, to look at the customer journey and make sure, okay, well, if they're checking in through a mobile app, which is going to be omnipresent in our industry soon, is that an intuitive experience? Does it look good? Does it feel good? Is there anticipatory service in a mobile app? Is that even possible? Sure, but it takes some thought. So I think it's shifting that, where instead of training our teams on hospitality or on how to provide great service, we have to look at the tools, and are those tools providing great service? I think about a quick story where I was at a luxury resort, and they had a text messaging platform, a human text messaging platform, where basically you could text a number and it came into a dashboard. There's all kinds of tools out there. And I learned that they didn't have a system set up where if that is not answered in a certain amount of time, is it escalated? Does it go somewhere else? Mm. And so you might text that number in the middle of the night, and maybe the manager on duty is off plating an in-room dining breakfast because they're the only person on duty, or whatever it may be, is that it should go to their phone, or whatever it may be, some type of escalation path. So we're looking at all of those what ifs, because now technology is a factor. And so that's really what comes to mind to me, is how do we still make a technologically advanced experience be one that is still focused on the guest experience and luxurious?
Yeah. So, George, in your experience, can you highlight any specific technological innovations that are enhancing the luxury guest experience?
So, Michelle, I want to share something here that's slightly different. And it's not necessarily enhancing the guest experience, but the team member experience. So, Jason, to your point, there's a client of ours that shared something with me that was jaw-dropping that they were doing, is that it's a multi-property hospitality operator. And on company-wide, during onboarding, they are using augmented reality goggles and Hollywood quality video production to share with their team members the history of their company, their different properties. And so it sounds bonkers to me that they're sitting in this room with goggles on, seeing their different properties. But previously, they would actually go to those different properties sometimes and they would see it on a PowerPoint deck. And now they're seeing it in this captivating, engaging, advanced way. Imagine starting at a major hotel brand and you're getting a video tour of all of their properties and learning about the history, seeing in 3D the founder speak to you. And that's a true, real example. And the interesting thing is that the property actually saw, despite there being an investment in spinning that up, they actually saw some ROI because they found that onboarding was more engaging. Yeah. And that those team members came out of onboarding a little bit more up to speed. And so I think it's quick. We're quick to think about technology in the guest experience, and that's totally merited. However, I think it's also a way to make the team member experience that much better. To Jason, to your point, to reduce turnover and allow more team member interactions with guests, that is. So I just wanted to share that. It was, again, one of those where I heard about it and I didn't believe them at first. And it's pretty cool and pretty admirable.
Fantastic highlight. So they are not only engaging the team on a different level, but the team is also now feeling excited about the place where they are, right?
Exactly.
I love it. Any thoughts from the panel?
I think I had a very similar experience, George, and it was actually not from the hospitality industry, worldwide bank brand, and I was blown away when they showed me their onboarding training plan, because it was very similar, augmented reality, and you could train from the teller at the bank, and the teller would know where the clients were lining up, and they would know how the different places of the bank were. It was mind blowing. And I actually thought, oh my gosh, why have we not done something like this in the hospitality industry, right? And then of course, a lot of cost efficiency there for training, right? Then you don't have to send your frontline employees or your managers or your directors, you don't have to send them to the actual venue or location, but you can actually show them everything that is in there. And it was mind-blowing. So I hope that we get to do that more in the hospitality industry, especially with those brands that have multiple properties, right? That sometimes is just not efficient, but also it creates excitement, even if I'm not going to be working at that property. But for me to actually be able to see it and to leave it as if I'm there, like, what a great tool for engagement.
Lovely. As long as we don't lose that human interaction, yes, we can expand our horizon, but then stay very close to what we have near us.
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Jason, any thoughts before we wrap up today?
I would just say, along Erika's lines, is I think that, we still need to embrace the technology to also making it more interesting for the younger generation. They want to see that technology. They're, basically born with an iPhone. And so, being able to see these cool different ways for training, and then also too of how they can be able to interact, I think is also too what's going to help being able to bring the next generation over into the hospitality and more interested of learning about it and working in the industry.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We're letting you go, but not really letting you go, because we have more conversations to put out there and to record. So we'll see everyone in a couple of weeks. And we're going to be talking about personalization and collaborations between brands. And then we'll hit wellness and all those beautiful things that makes us better humans. So stay tuned, and we're so excited that you have allowed us to pick your brain in the last few minutes.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.